How's it going, everyone? I'm Millimaki with In the Game, back here to talk about the top quarterbacks in this year's upcoming NFL draft. Let's start off with who most people have as their QB1 going into this year's draft, being Alabama's own Bryce Young. Now, Young has just about everything you're looking for in a quarterback today. One of Young's biggest strengths is his ability to create plays from nothing. For many quarterbacks, when a play falls through, they tend to panic, throw it away, or even take a sack. But that just isn't the case with Bryce Young. The level at which Young is able to process the defense and field is truly unmatched in this draft class. On top of that, his pocket awareness and the way he's able to improvise is very similar to that of Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson. And those are qualities that are highly valued, especially in today's game. There have been a multitude of occasions in this past season alone where Young was faced with a great deal of pressure, and he was able to feel out the rush, keep his eyes downfield, and make the best play based on what he sees. The stats only back this up, as when under pressure, Bryce Young had one of the highest offense and passer ratings in the nation, and he sure faced a lot of it being in the SEC. Perhaps his biggest strengths, however, are his high football IQ and his leadership ability, which are two of the biggest things teams are looking for in a player they expect to lead their team. His love for the game also can't be denied, as many coaches have expressed just how much he loves watching film and preparing for games. Due to these reasons, he is really well respected amongst his teammates and coaches. And although we didn't get to see Young participate in this year's NFL Combine, as he chose to opt out and wait till his pro day, there is still more than enough evidence to say that when throwing, Young has good accuracy and great ball placement to his receivers. Now, I am sure for a lot of you hearing that, you'd think Bryce Young sounds like a generational talent at the quarterback position. However, despite all that, there is one thing that NFL scouts worry about him, and that is his size. Young measured in at 5'10" and 204 pounds at this year's Combine. That would make him one of the smallest QBs ever to play in the NFL. But that size didn't seem to affect him much playing in the SEC, where he went up against a lot of NFL talent. So say what you want about his size, he still produced week in and week out for Bama. Another one of people's favorite quarterbacks in this draft is Stroud out of Ohio State. Stroud himself has quite a few strengths, but the one that makes him stick out from everyone else is his accuracy. His accuracy was shown on full display this past weekend as he put on an absolute clinic at the Combine. But it's his in-game accuracy which makes him really stand out. Throwing through tight windows and right over defenders is something he did week in and week out at Ohio State. On top of that, Stroud's ball placement makes passes very easy on receivers to catch, and the ability to do that is something that cannot be understated. Accuracy isn't the only thing he is known for, as he has excellent footwork and balance, which allows him to throw some of these beautiful deep passes of which he is well known for. Stroud also has been talked about as a great leader and has prototypical size, with him measuring in at 6'3", 214 pounds. Unlike Bryce Young, the knock on Stroud isn't his size. Rather, it is his struggles when faced with pressure. Stroud statistically had one of the worst passer ratings when under pressure in the nation, averaging out to a whopping 43.9 last season. Also, he didn't face much pressure, with only getting pressured on 23% of his dropbacks, which ranked 228th in the nation. Stroud arguably also had the best offensive line and receiving core in the nation, which had many people worrying how he would be on the next level without that. However, Stroud had arguably his best game of the season against Georgia in the playoffs, which ranked as the best defense in college. And despite him not being very mobile, he was able to move around the pocket pretty well and scramble when needed. Stroud definitely proved some of his doubters wrong after that performance. Now it's time to talk about the quarterback who seems to have the most mixed reviews around the league, being Will Levis out of Kentucky. Levis has all the physical tools you want in a quarterback, which is why some people have him as the best quarterback in this draft. Measuring in at 6'4" and 229 pounds, Levis has the prototypical size you're looking for as an NFL scout. One of Levis's biggest strengths is his rocket arm. That, combined with his quick release, allows him to throw the ball anywhere on the field with great confidence. Although Levis is able to make any type of pass, unlike other quarterbacks in this draft, Levis doesn't have the great weapons to throw to. In fact, some mistakes by receivers led to his passes getting intercepted. On top of his lack of weapons, Levis was faced with a lot of pressure due to the line being suboptimal. Despite not having the talent around him, Levis was still able to produce in a pro-style offense, which leads to another strength of his. With him already being familiar with the pro-style offense, his footwork is really well developed. Levis is also a great athlete who can move around the pocket pretty easily, and he is always a threat to scramble for some short yardage when needed. Now, there is a reason why he receives such mixed reviews, and that is because he still has some things to clean up on. Reading defenses, staying patient in the pocket, and going through his progressions are all things that Levis needs to work on. One major thing that could use work is his touch on passes. It's great to have a rocket arm, but not every pass needs to be a bullet. Levis overall is still pretty raw in his mechanics, and if he can clean these things up, he will definitely see success at the next level. Lastly, we will talk about this year's most exciting prospect being Anthony Richardson out of Florida. The 6'4", 244-pound quarterback is a freak athlete to say the least, and it was on full display at the Combine this past weekend. Richardson ran a 4.4 40-yard dash, had a 40.5-inch vertical, and had a 10.9 broad jump, all of which were first by a mile amongst quarterbacks. This just proved what we already saw in game with Richardson, as he's able to run the ball like Justin Fields with the frame and ability to absorb contact like Cam Newton. On top of that, he might have the strongest arm in this draft class with a really quick release of the football. With all that being said, he is still a very raw prospect. Richardson's ability to read defenses, along with his footwork, decision-making, and accuracy are all things that could use improvement. Part of the reason why he is still very raw is due to him being very inexperienced, so given time, he could develop into something really special. We saw flashes last season, but it was very inconsistent. One play he might throw a deep ball pass right over the defender's shoulder, and the next he'll miss someone wide open for a walk-in touchdown. Richardson may have the highest upside out of all these guys, but that is only if he's able to gain experience and continue to develop. That pretty much wraps up this year's top quarterback prospects. I don't know about you, but I'm excited to see how these guys all pan out and where they will end up. As a Texans fan myself, I am sure looking forward to this draft. That's all for now, Cougs. This has been Millimaki.